Hey, what's up you guys? This is Rob from A Gay Guy Plays, and today on the rundown, it's time to get speared when we take a look at our flaming prince, Nezha. Now, Nezha was teased quite a while back as a Chinese timed exclusive, and straight out of the gate, his unique build and flamboyant mannerisms definitely pulled on my heartstrings. However, it's his kit that really managed to grab my attention. With each of his abilities having both an offensive and defensive component, Nezha acts as a high mobility hybrid, allowing him to lay down the heat and provide support all in one very interesting shot. Now, you can pick up Nezha's blueprint in the market for 100,000 credits, while the rest of his components can be found as random rewards for completing your set of daily sorties. Now, keep in mind that his awarded components can be traded, however, if you'd rather not deal with all the predators in trade chat, you can always pick them up in the market pre-built along with a Warframe slot and Catalyst for 275 plat. Now, statistically, Nezha is built like a piece of 2-ply tissue paper, with the lowest base health and shield in game. However, he does have an above average amount of armor, power, and sprint speed. Honestly, I'm 100% conflicted as his abilities and base armor make it very tempting to put a brawler build on him. However, just looking at the stats alone, he's basically like a Loki without invisibility, and that's the last thing I'd want to get into enemies' faces with, which somewhat leads me to his passive. In addition to his high mobility, he also comes equipped with built-in maglev, which reduces his ground friction, giving him additional momentum. Now, if you can't quite picture that, think running around on a thick layer of lube, because that's pretty much it. Alright, with that said, let's burn some rubber. Now, Nezha's first ability is Firewalker. He ignites his wind fire wheels, granting him 20% bonus movement speed and leaving a trail of fire in his wake. At max rank, these flames will persist for 10 seconds, cleansing all allies of any status effects and dealing 200 damage per second to enemies caught in the blaze. It also shares a very explosive synergy with his second ability, but we'll get to that one in a minute. Now, while the damage portion of this is marginal, requiring the right situation to be effective, the additional mobility and ability to set up large cleansing patches can be quite handy in higher level missions. While it isn't a total game changer, it definitely has its uses. Blazing Chakram is Nezha's second ability. He tosses out his universe ring, igniting and knocking down enemies it strikes, causing them to get all hot and bothered. At max rank, if you manage to finish them off while they're still in heat, they'll explode with restorative energy, healing allies for 225 points of health within an 8-meter area of effect. In addition, you can reactivate the ability while Chakram is in flight in order to teleport to its current location, which is indicated by a little on-screen marker. Now, if you had Firewalker active when you reactivated the skill, it will deactivate Firewalker and deal damage in a small area of effect when you emerge from the teleport. Now, this makes for an awesome combo, priming enemies with a Chakram, then porting to them with an AoE explosion and triggering the heal. Just keep in mind that while this does apply the fire status to enemies, damage-wise, that's about all it does. Nezha's third ability, Warding Halo, creates a rotating ring of fire that absorbs 1,337 points of incoming damage, all the while stunning and damaging enemies that get within a 2-meter range. Now, this works just like Frost's Snow Globe and Rhino's Iron Skin, factoring in your Warframe's power, strength, and armor to decide the amount of damage it can absorb. In addition, upon its cast, it's granted a 3-second window of invulnerability, in which it converts all incoming damage into bonus warding. Now, this is definitely awesome for Nezha, as he's easily one of the squishiest frames in game. However, just keep in mind that while the invulnerability period isn't half bad at helping this ability scale into late game, it doesn't mean that you can count on the ward to keep you alive in later missions. Nezha is geared to be quick and evasive, ensure that you're using that more than you rely on the halo. Now, Nezha's fourth and final ability is Divine Spears. Fire-tipped spears erupt from the ground, impaling all enemies within an area of effect. During this period of penetration, enemies are held helplessly in place for 12 seconds at max rank, just waiting to get slammed. And I don't mean that in the normal pervy way I usually do, I actually mean it quite literally, as toggling off the ability will pull out your mighty spears, slamming the enemies back into the ground for another instance of damage. Each are also susceptible to what seems to be a single melee ground finisher, which is awesome for taking out larger targets that may not necessarily go down when it's time to pull out. Now, this is pretty damn awesome. At low levels, it can act as a quick crowd clearing ability, while at higher levels, its respectable power range and duration can be modded to act as some fairly substantial CC. So, all in all, I definitely have to say that Nezha is super fun to use. His kit isn't insanely complex, but still does offer skilled players some quirky synergies to master. Whether it's using Chakram to safely close a gap for melee combat, laying down Firewalker preemptively to proc the panic from the heat status on an approaching spawn, or keeping a squad of enemies speared while you and the rest of your team lays into them. The interesting thing that I find here is that whether it's meant to be intentional or not, Nezha is almost split into two. His offense is more tailored for mid to low level gameplay, but his support grants him a spot in higher tiers. Modded appropriately, his CC can be quite respectable, and while his heals don't come close to rivaling that of the premier healers, laying down a set of spears followed by a good old toss of the universe ring creates a slaughter zone that ravages just as much as it restores. So while our little flamer may appear playful and innocent, beware, because he's got a reputation of inserting more than just the tip. So thank you all for watching another episode of The Rundown. If you haven't caught it, I'll link you to the last 2 episodes of our Frog Princess Avara and our Monkey King Wukong. Now don't forget to do all the things that I ask you to do at the end of every one of these, and as always, stay tuned for more lube-driven prancing here at A Gay Guy Plays. Alright, now I'm gonna be honest with you. When it first came in with the default color, I was a little bit worried. But after a couple tweaks, I will say, art department, I will never lose faith in you again. Okay?